Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 187. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. If you have ever said something like, my husband never helps me, or my kids are always bothering me, my kids never pick up their toys, any of this always never, or I'm not good at math, so I can't help you with your homework. If any of that sounds like you may be suffering from a fixed mindset. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking all things growth mindset with my guest, Kate House. And she is the host of the Live by Design podcast, also the founder of the empowerment coaching program, the Live by Design Collective. And she helps women who feel stuck and overwhelmed and want to move through life with confidence and clarity, set and actually achieve their personal goals with soul via mindset shifts, such as the growth mindset we're going to talk about today, personal growth practices, healthy habits, and guilt-free self-care. So we are going to be talking why the growth mindset is an important thing, what it is, why it's important for us, why it's important for us to model it for our kids. And this is just such a wonderful, fun conversation that I know that you're going to love. So without further ado, what do you say? Grab that notebook and pen and let's dive into today's conversation with Kate House. Hey there, Mama. Are you tired of all the stuff crowding your home, calendar, and mind? Do you wish you could say goodbye to the endless to-do list running around in your head? Want to declutter but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm, where you will find proven and practical solutions to declutter your home, head, and heart. Hi, I'm Emily, a wife, boy mom, and simplicity seeker. I struggled to get pregnant and felt overwhelmed until I discovered decluttering could create the physical and emotional space I needed to become a mom. Now, 2 kids later, I've transformed my life and motherhood by developing simple systems around decluttering, capsule wardrobes, kid stuff, cleaning and tidying, meal planning, time management, and more, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you're ready to reclaim the time and energy you crave, be present with your kids, and finally enjoy the life and motherhood you so deserve, let's kick overwhelm to the curb, shall we? Grab your lukewarm coffee, your notebook and pen, and clear up some counter space. Let's do this. Well, hey, Kate, thanks for coming on the Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm podcast. I'm excited to chat today.
Oh my goodness, Emily, thank you so much for having me here. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, one of the cool things about being a podcaster, everyone, in case you want to get into this awesome world, is that you get to hang out with your new best friend.
And you'll find people all over the country that you're like, oh my gosh, if we lived in the same town, we would be total besties. But now you just get to be online besties.
Exactly. So we just recorded on Kate's show and now we're recording on my show. And I'm like, let's just keep the party going,
Yes.
It's so fun. So could you introduce yourself, Kate, and tell us about you and your family, kind of how you serve women, and maybe one thing you like to do for fun?
Oh, I love this. Yes. So my name is Kate House. I live in the small town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and my husband and I met in college. And we're college sweethearts. We kind of lived all over for about a decade. And then we came back to Gettysburg. We went to Gettysburg College for our undergrad. We came back here because it kind of feels like our adopted hometown. And so we're raising our boys here. We have a 7-year-old and a 5.5-year-old. So we're in kindergarten and first grade. We are in the thick of building an immune system germ season, which apparently I didn't have a great immune system. So we have all been, passing all the colds around, but having so much fun raising these little boys here. And I support high achieving women who struggle with not having a lot of time for themselves, set, track, and actually achieve their personal goals with soul. And I like to say that they do it with both confidence and clarity. So often we pour so much of ourselves into our careers, our families. Maybe you're caring for an ailing parent, maybe you have a newborn, whatever it is, and we forget about ourselves. And so I've gone through that season myself. This comes after a quarter life crisis about a decade ago and a lot of personal growth that's happened since then. And I just want to help other women maybe not have to have a quarter life or a midlife crisis and get to live by design and not by default. And something fun about me. I probably, there's so many things I like to do for fun. So I was a fine arts major in college and I'm still very creative. So my most recent thing is I got a Cricut machine. And so I've been having so much fun making, we're doing this event in Philadelphia coming up where it's like Bluey in real life. Like they've recreated Bluey and my kids are obsessed. And so I made us like family Bluey t-shirts. And tomorrow my son has his first biography report on George Washington. So I'm making him this shirt that says party like it's 1776, you know? So that's what I've been getting into. That's what I've been just kind of doing for fun. I like to pop in like a true crime podcast and I, play with the Cricut machine. And I'm like, this is what adult money is for. Like, this is so much fun.
Oh, I love that. Well, before Halloween, I'll contact you and get your fees so that you can make some cool
I
shirts.
will make you whatever you want.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, I also love that we are boy moms in a similar season.
Oh,
So my
yes.
youngest just turned 7, and I always ask this question of the moms that come on the show if they can share a time in their motherhood, recent or not so recent. I'm like, I could tell you a story of overwhelm from this morning.
Yeah.
But maybe when you struggle with overwhelm, or maybe the topic of what we're going to talk about today, like a fixed mindset, where you are just having this mindset of like, I can't do this, like, just really that kind of being on the struggle bus, so to speak.
Yes.
But just telling us like what was going on at the time. And then what was that tipping point where you're like, okay, this is enough, like things have to change. And what did you do?
Oh, yes. I have not only been on the struggle bus, I feel like I've been run over by the struggle bus before. So for me, it was probably so my boys, like you, are very, they're 18 months apart.
Mhm.
So especially when the pandemic hit back in 2020, I had a 10-month-old, I had an almost 2-year old and or just over 2-year old. And it was like, and I had just transitioned to being a stay-at-home mom full time. And my husband was working from home for the first time, which was great, but also like, I'm trying to keep these 2 little kids quiet so he can figure out Zoom work,
Yeah.
early on in the pandemic. And so I just felt really overwhelmed. And then I remember listening to a podcast, and I don't even remember what it was now because it was so long ago, but I remember hearing this prompt of like, well, who are you? And all the things that came to mind were the different roles that I filled, right? And I didn't really know who Kate was anymore. And that was kind of eye-opening for me. I was like, I love being a mom. I loved being a full-time stay-at-home mom when they were little. I felt so grateful to be able to do that. But I was like, but I need to know who I am outside of my motherhood journey too. And so that was really when I started thinking about doing this podcast because I was like, well, we can't go anywhere. And I want something to do that feels like it's just for me, not that it's productive. It's not for like, I just want something that keeps me accountable to my own personal growth journey and this desire to know how and learn how to live intentionally. And so the shift for me happened when I started to invest in myself. I bought a $37 course about how to podcast, and they were just PDF lessons. And so I would nurse my youngest to sleep because, my goodness, that child nursed for forever. And I would nurse Conrad to sleep and I would read a lesson. And every night I read a different lesson. And then once both the boys were down, I would take the action steps. So, like, buying the microphone. I still use
Mhm.
the same microphone, right? Like
Yeah.
we don't need to overcomplicate this.
I got my Blue Yeti right here. So
Me too. Exactly. It's like everybody's first great microphone. You don't even need to replace it, right? And so I shifted from this place of the fixed mindset of who am I to try to do this? Why do I think why would anyone listen, right?
Mhm.
To just being like, you know what? I'm just going to try it. I'm going to see if I totally suck or if I can get better. And it's okay to not be great at something right out of the gate. You get better with time, and will I enjoy it, and so I told myself, let's just try this for 10 episodes. We're 360 something episodes in now, so like, spoiler alert, love it. But for me, it just started with like, one, just choosing to invest in myself, whether that's investing your time, your energy, maybe it's a financial investment, but this was a pretty low barrier to entry, and just got started. And I found so much joy in getting to have conversations like this. And it, keeps my mind sharp, and it allows me to have these conversations and these relationships that are really important. And none of that would have happened if I had stayed stuck in that fixed mindset. So that was probably my
Oh,
my most overwhelmed to my biggest switch.
yeah, that's a great story. And I've definitely been there where it's like, who's Emily? Like, where does she go?
Yeah.
Because we do play the roles. And then a lot of times when we are even introducing yourself on a podcast, like I'll be like, I am a wife and a mom and this, and that's what usually comes first. So I love that self-discovery is now helping women to be able to find that for themselves. And we are going to be talking about mindset today,
Mhm.
specifically fixed mindset and growth mindset and how that impacts as moms. And I was wondering if you could define what
Mhm.
you would say mindset is and sort of what do we have to know about mindset in order to support having a more growth mindset as a mom?
Yeah. Oh, I love this question, Emily. So I had LASIK about a decade ago, so I don't need corrective lenses for the time being. Give me another 10 years and I'll need readers probably. But as a kid, I had terrible eyesight. I couldn't see close up, I couldn't see far away. And I have a lot of memories of sitting in the chair at the eye doctor, and they bring this big contraption in front of your eyes, right? And they set it in front of your eyes. And what they're doing is they're trying to figure out what your prescription is. Like, does this look clear or does this look clear? And they toggle between different lenses. I like to think of mindset as like that contraption they put in front of your eyes. It's like the lens through which you view the world. So, are you viewing the world from a place of abundance or a place of scarcity, right? So, a lot of these mindsets, and there are lots of different mindsets. My favorite to talk about is fixed and growth, but there's lots of them out there, and they usually exist on a continuum. And by that, I mean, you might have growth mindset on one side, and on the polar opposite side, is a fixed mindset. Now, typically in life, and Emily actually pointed this out when we interviewed over on my show, is that there is a lot of life in the in between, right? It gets to be both and not either or. So we're never going to be, probably ever, 100% growth mindset or 100% fixed. And there's a lot of beauty in that, I think. It's a continuum. And so what we're trying to do is just inch a little bit closer every day to fix or away from fixed and towards growth. And if you find yourself in a season that's really hard, a lot of times we'll start to swing back towards what is comfortable, what might feel easier. We might find ourselves inching back towards a fixed mindset, and that's okay. What we're going to try to do is, have those lenses and try to really purposely choose the prescription that allows us to see growth. So Carol Dweck is like the mother of growth mindset. I know Emily loves to talk about books. I do too. She's written a couple incredible books about hers is just called Mindset, I think, about how we can shift towards a growth mindset. So if we think about these things as contrasts, a growth mindset says, how can I do this? What can I learn? Who can I recruit? They see multiple ways to achieve an end. And a fixed mindset is like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I'm only born with the smarts that I have, and I can never change, right? Whereas a growth mindset really leans into this idea of neuroplasticity that we can continue to learn no matter what age we're at. And so I like to say, to really kind of sum it up, is like, if there's like a roadblock, you're driving somewhere and there's like a construction sign, the fixed mindset's like, well, forget it. Let's just go home, right? Road trip over. And the growth mindset's like, cool, let's take a detour. Let's see where we end up along the way. And sometimes there's a lot of beauty in the detours, right? Sometimes we don't get from A to B the way we think we're going to,
Mhm.
but the journey becomes so much richer and just joyful and abundant when we take the standpoint of like, oh, now I get to do this. It's not happening to me. Maybe it's happening for me. So that's kind of mindset in a
Yeah.
nutshell.
Oh, I love that. And it's funny. So you're using the example of driving, and I live outside of Washington, D.C. So anytime I have to go into D.C., talk about mindset, I'm like, I don't know what the parking is going to be, and I don't want to have to look around for parking. And I have this very like fixed mindset about the drive, and I get very nervous about it. And I
Yeah.
would totally be the one to drive all the way there, and there would be this roadblock, and be like, well, I guess it's not for me today. Like,
Or going
turn back
home.
or I'm just going home. So I definitely have that for sure. And I was just curious also, like for the overwhelmed moms out there, that we
Mm,
have a lot of these limiting fixed beliefs that, especially using these always and never type of phrases like I always yell at my kids, or I never remember to defrost the meat when I'm supposed to be cooking today.
yeah.
Or
Been there.
mine is like, I'm not good at math. I'm not the math person. I'm the words person. So if the
Mhm.
kids need help with math, they're gonna go to my husband instead of me because I just wipe my hands of it. Like I'm not good at math. I, always do this. I never do this. And so when we start telling us ourselves these stories about what we are, what we're not, what we're good at, what can change, what can't, And a lot of them are impacting how we go through life and whether we have that overwhelm or don't. What are some of the steps that we can take to pause and kind of shift
Mm.
to more of that growth mindset in the moment?
Yes. Oh, I love this. So I think curiosity is a superpower. So getting curious, like, do I really stink at this? Like, do I always forget to defrost the meat, or have I successfully cooked dinner hundreds of times before? Right. So first we want to kind of question is this true? And Emily
Mhm.
actually taught on this on my show and so beautifully. So first we want to question that. And then the next thing I like to ask people is, just because it's always been done a certain way, or you've been thinking about this a certain way for forever, well, what if it were different, you know? And so my husband and I like to do this thing, we call it idea soup. And with idea soup, you present a situation that you're like, I feel friction here, right? Like, I don't like, we're constantly tweaking our schedules, right? And so like maybe the friction is like, oh, I feel like I really want to work out in the mornings, but we're also trying to get the kids to school, right? And so we're
Mhm.
like, okay, great, idea soup. So something we came up with years ago was we both get a 1 hour block of time in the morning to ourselves. So I'm 6 to 7, he's 7 to 8. You can do whatever you want during that time. But if you're with the kids, like if you're in the first block, you're feeding them breakfast, you're making their lunches. And then during the second block, which is me, I get them dressed, I get their teeth brushed, and I drive them to school. But when it's your hour of you time, that's when I can do that workout. That's when I can have some quiet time. Or I might choose to sit and snuggle the kids if that's what I want to do that day, right? But the idea of idea soup is that no idea is a bad idea. You're allowed to voice what you're like, crazy idea. What about this? Right. And you're not allowed to tell the other person, like, nope, that's insane. You have to kind of go through the mental gymnastics of like, okay, what if we tried that? Right. And you try it and you see if it works. And so with a fixed mindset, in particular, especially for overwhelmed moms, we're like, well, I can't change it. It's always been this way. It will always be this way. And with a growth mindset, you get to think to yourself, like, well, what if we tried something different?
Mhm.
What if I asked for help, right? Us perfectionists, people pleasers, overachievers have such a hard time asking for help. But what if you asked a partner for help, or a neighbor, or a friend? What if you recruited help somehow, right? So let's start to think through ways like, how can we make this easier? A friend of mine, Emily Rushell, over on the Gather and Growth podcast, taught me this phrase of, wouldn't it be cool if? So if
Mm.
idea soup doesn't resonate with you, ask yourself, wouldn't it be cool if, right? And wouldn't it be cool if my neighbor and I traded off one day each week where one of us gets the kids and keeps them for 2 hours after school, and the other one gets to have 2 hours of time for herself, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I would start, is just because something's been done a certain way doesn't mean it has to continue that way. And just a real life example. So my limiting thought was, my kids love Legos, like absolutely love Legos. I step on Legos all day long.
Mm.
And for the longest time, I was like, well, that's dad's thing. That's what my husband does with you, right? And my kids, because my husband works until 5 p.m., they would come home from school and they'd be like, well, I want to build this Lego set that you bought me, mom, with you. And so I had to kind of analyze that fixed mindset of like, well, it's not my thing. And I was like, well, I like puzzles. This is just kind of like a 3D puzzle. Like, I'll try. And so I told them, I was like, guys, I'll try. But we're gonna have to go slow. You're gonna
Yeah.
have to be patient. And the Lego sets come with like bags, right? So there's like bag
Mhm.
one, bag two. And I'm like, we're just gonna start with one bag. Like, we don't need to be an overachiever and try to do 1,000 pieces and what, like, let's just do one bag. And then we'll evaluate and see how we're feeling, right? So we did one bag and I was like, that wasn't so bad. Okay, we've got time. We could do a second bag. And then we stopped, right? And then the next day we came back to it. And so by the end, we'd made like an X-Wing fighter from Star Wars. And recently my father-in-law was like, oh, did you build that? Talking to my husband. And he was like, oh no, Kate's the Lego builder now. And I was like, dang right I am, right? And so, but a year ago, I would have been like, you're crazy. I don't do Legos,
Mhm.
right? But sometimes we just have to have a little bit of willingness to not be great at something and
Yeah.
to just kind of learn and explore as we go.
Yeah, and I love that it's like low pressure. I feel like moms come to me all the time with trying to figure out like a routine that isn't working. Like
Right.
my kids leave stuff all over the house. They never clean up. They never help me. I'm always the one cleaning up. My husband doesn't help. And that's that like nothing's going to change. It's always going to be the same kind of mindset. And then I say, well, what if we tried this?
Yeah.
What if we tried that? And it's like, Oh, and we don't change everything at once, right? We just look at that, like take, using your example, you open bag one.
Yep, exactly.
You
One
just
bag.
one bag and you're like, okay, well, I was able to figure that out. Great, we've mastered that. So now we can
Mhm,
move on to the next thing. And you mentioned just as far as like that and as an example of showing your kids
mhm,
that like, oh, well, mom is helping with the Legos. Be patient, understand I'm new at this, but I'm going to help. So, why
mhm,
is a growth mindset so important for us to model for our
mhm,
children? And how do you feel like you've done that in your motherhood? Because I will tell you, caveat, when it comes to any like boy body parts, I just say, go talk to your father. That is one area where I'm like, honey, you're the point person on that. But
Yep.
I will say that for anything else, I try to be like, you can come to me or
Mhm,
come to dad. But it does take practice because we have strong opinions as adults
mhm.
as about what we're good at and not good at. But how have you kind of modeled that growth mindset for your own kids?
Yeah, well, I think for me, like modeling a growth mindset encourages my kids to enjoy the process of learning, of experimenting, of doing. And it kind of takes the emphasis away from, like you mentioned earlier, like those achievement type
Yeah.
goals, right? Because, like, I'm a classic oldest child, graduated college, Phi Beta Kappa, got the job I was supposed to have, right? Like, I was really great at ticking all the boxes, right? And then I got to 25 and was like, who am I? Like, did I choose any of this for myself? Is this the direction I want to keep going? And it wasn't. Nothing wrong with it. It just I didn't choose it, right? And so my hope is that I can raise kids that explore and figure out what they like, and they don't feel like they have to be a people pleaser, and they don't feel like they have to get the A plus, right? Like, I want them to just be the best that they can be. And if that's a B plus kid, awesome. If that's a
Mhm.
C plus kid, awesome. Like, if you are showing up and you're trying your best and you're learning, to me, it's about embracing the learning journey, and it's not about like the shiny trophy at the end, right? Because that's what got me to being like stressed and overwhelmed and all the things, right? Having a quarter life crisis,
Mhm.
right on time, right at 25. And so for me, showing them what a growth mindset is, of showing them like, hey, I'm going to try this Lego set. I make no promises, but like I'm going to have a good attitude. We're going to go nice and slow. We're going to work together. I hope that they're learning to be a beginner, and that it's never shameful to be a beginner at something, and it's okay to not be great at it, and that the act of doing, of taking action, creates clarity. So you get clarity on, hey, I actually do like building. Now I like building Legos, right? My son wants to be on Lego Masters together. So I'm like, all right, kid, let's keep working. Oh, maybe give me 10 years. But like, let's just embrace the act of doing and let go of that perfectionism, and
Yeah.
instead just embracing like progress. And
Mhm.
so that's a lot of it is stuff that I've had to unlearn myself, right? Like, so we do these mantras in the car ride on the way to school every day, and we're like, we're not looking for perfect, we're looking for progress. And then they go, because perfect is an illusion.
I love that.
Yep. And so that's what I hope they learn. I hope they learn to embrace the journey. Because, kind of existentially, our life is lived in the day to day. It's
Mhm.
your average Tuesday, right? And how are you feeling as you move through your day? And I want them to feel curious and creative and adventurous. And I'm less concerned about like what is that, if you can have an enjoyable day to day experience and you're a B plus kid,
Yeah.
awesome. Like, I don't want you to be stressed out worrying about getting perfect grade, quote,
Mhm.
perfect grades, because that's what mom wants, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I hope they learn from me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you and I have very similar backgrounds. So, my husband, this is a couple years ago, I was like, I just feel really unappreciated. Like, where are my gold stars?
Right.
Like, no one gives me any gold stars for being a mom. And he literally went on Amazon and he bought gold star stickers. And now, if I have like a good thing where it's like, a proud parenting moment where I could have yelled, but I didn't
Uh-huh.
yell. And he'll like put the sticker on a little index card and hand it to me. And I'll be like,
Oh,
gold star. Because I was very performance based, like everything
yeah.
was outcome, get the A's, like
Hmm.
do the thing, Phi Beta Kappa, all the stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, same thing. I was like, I becoming a mom is what broke me. And then
Yeah.
going to therapy and being like, what on earth? My kids aren't robots and they're not going to do exactly what I want in the way that I want them to. What?
Yeah.
What? You know?
And like eye
So
twitch.
I know, yeah. So that's just really beautiful, like the curiosity and the journey and the progress. I think that's just a great reminder for me. And I'm definitely going to start doing that mantra for my kids on the way to school. I love that. It's just an
It's
illusion.
an illusion. And so then it's so funny because then they're like, well, but what about when I'm like practicing my letters and you tell me that's perfect? And I'm like, oh, dang. So now
I
I've
know.
got an awareness around that. I'll be like, that's
Yeah.
great.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been so fun, Kate. Thank you so much. And I would love it if you can just tell us the best place for people to connect with you about your community or your coaching or any of the stuff that you want to tell us. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Emily. Well, first, thank you so much for having me here. These kinds of conversations, like I feel so light and bright afterwards,
Mm.
and getting to spend time with women like you and women in your community is just such a gift. So thank you.
Yeah.
Everywhere I am Miss Kate House. There's other Kate Houses in the world. They beat me to everything. So I am MS Kate and then house, just like a house, HOUSE. MissKateHouse.com is my website. That's where you can find the Live by Design podcast. Come check it out. Emily is one of our recent guests. She was fabulous. No surprise here because you guys listen to her show, but you will love that episode. You can find my coaching on there as well. And then over on Instagram at Miss Kate House is where I'm most active. I go in fits and spurts though. Like if I'm writing my first book right now, the Live by Design Blueprint. I'm so excited. So sometimes when I'm deep in the writing, like maybe I might not be on social as much, but that's
Mhm.
where I hang out. And if it's okay with you, Emily, I would love to gift your community an all access pass to last year's Goals with Soul Summit. So it is awesome. Okay, so it's a podcast summit. If you guys use coupon code, I just created it. Where did I put it? Hang on, guys. Declutter is the coupon
Mhm.
code. So I will give Emily the link, but if you use coupon code declutter, you'll get this $97 value for free. And basically it's a 3-day long podcast summit because, nobody has time to sit down and watch videos, but it's a podcast summit all about how to set your goals with soul, how to get unstuck and into action, specifically action with clarity and confidence. And so that'll be there, that you guys are welcome to just hop in. And again, for all of us high achievers, don't go into that being like, I'm going to listen to all 24 episodes. No, no, no. Friend, I want you to pick 2.
Mhm.
Scroll through the different episodes, the different days, and just be like, what speaks to my heart right now? And listen to that and just trust that what you need to hear will be in that
Yeah.
episode. And then know that it'll be yours forever. So you can go back to it anytime. But just give yourself permission to just pick 1 or 2. But Emily, this is so much
Yeah.
fun. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you forever.
Well, thank you so much for that generous gift. That is so incredibly kind of you. And I will be sure, yeah, to link all of that in the show notes. So thanks again for coming on the show. It was so fun chatting.
Oh, thank you so much.
If you like today's podcast, here's what you can do. Just take 30 seconds to leave me a review. I know you're a busy mama. You're overwhelmed, in fact. But 30 seconds of your day makes such an impact. I'll be blessed by your words. They'll definitely make my day. And who knows, you might be entered for this month's giveaway. In Apple Podcasts, scroll down to write a review. Thanks so much for your time. I'm so grateful for you.